Hello everybody. I'm speaking quite quietly because just over there is a giraffe cow. And we don't see a huge number of giraffe here. I'm not sure why, but she's just perfectly lit in the soon-to-be setting glorious South African sun. Isn't she a picture? And while this is never the most entertaining piece of information about giraffe, you can see her horns there are very nimble and thin and hourglass shaped and with hair on the top, and so that's how, if you just at a glance you can tell that that's a female from the top of her head. And when you get used to giraffe, you can see it immediately anyway, because the bulls are just much bigger. And she's eating. I'm just going to see what she's eating. Let me get my powerful binoculars. Oh, she's eating Ziziphus mucronata, the buffalo thorn. Now, the cameramen are all terrified of that tree because when we drive through the bush off-road, that's the tree that tends to do them the most injuries. I mean, we have to send the cameraman on leave every 2 weeks or so that they can go and seek medical attention, mainly because of the thorns that hit them from that tree. And that tree to human beings is an excellent one for taste, but to be pulling the leaves off with her tongue like she was doing is absolutely incredible. Just be silent for a second and see what she's looking at. Obviously nothing too terrifying, but watch her tongue move. Her tongue is grabbing pieces of bush that you and I could not put our hands on for the number of thorns, and viciously spiked thorns. Absolutely amazing. And apparently the way they do it is to have a fairly substantial amount of saliva and then a tongue. I think the dermal layer replaces itself frequently, so it kind of sloughs off because of the thorns. Now she's just spotted me sitting on the door here. She's suddenly astonished. Oh, she's a very beautiful animal, that. Just not going to move the car now, Brian, if you don't mind. I think she'll get a fright. They're very inquisitive. If you get out of the car and you lie on the ground in front of them and sort of move the car away, they'll eventually, say if you're patient, after half an hour, they'll come and they'll actually have a look at you. They'll get very close. I've got a giraffe up to within 2 meters of me. It'll take about an hour, so I'm not sure that it'll be particularly entertaining TV for you. We'll go back a little bit and just see if we can't get another view of her. It's quite unusual that there wouldn't be another one around here somewhere. They're usually in sort of a loose agglomeration of females that stay in visual contact. They're not always in sort of, in obvious contact. clapping noise you just heard was Brian beating off a swarm of flies that was set upon him. His beard is bespectacled with flies. Oh, look at that, Brian. You've got her, and can you see the oxpeckers on the ground? The oxpeckers that have been attending to her ectoparasites are now attending to their own. They've just leapt off her body onto the ground, and they're now having their own dust bath, which will get rid of parasites. I think that's how Brent has his bath, isn't it? Isn't that wonderful? They've just taken the opportunity to sort of leap off her as she's moved. I think we're going to follow her. She's going into the beautiful light of the sun, and we'll get a nice view of her. So any kids who are watching, your mother tells you need to have a bath in the evening, tell her that's how you're going to do it. It's good enough for the birds, it's probably good enough for you. They've just taken off, and they're going to fly off after her. There she is. Oh, the light on a giraffe's coat at this time of the day. Sneak around the corner here. You can see the dusty oxpeckers on her back now. She's wondering what on earth we might be following her for. Beautiful cow this. She's relatively in pretty good shape. You can see she doesn't have any particularly nasty parasites on her neck. She's got one little lesion, and that's perfectly normal for giraffe. The worse those parasites are, the older they are. She's in excellent shape. I've banged on a little bit about this before, but you know, there's so much talk. When people come to Africa, they want to see the big five. And when I was guiding, we're just going to get a bit of a silhouette. I'm not going to go past her. I'm just going to let her stand like that and then sort of walk in front of us, I hope. If she doesn't, I'll move. But people who used to ask to see the big five, I'd say, well, do you not want to see giraffe? And they'd say, well, but of course we do. Aren't they part of the big five? And they aren't. Look at that rather artistic picture that Brian's shot for us. Here we go. She's just going to walk onto the road, I think. And you can see how awkward she is walking down a slope like that. And that's often how lions kill them. You know, they'll chase them down a slope, or over into a drainage line, and they'll often fall and then slip, and then the lions are on them. Just go a little bit forward. The trick, of course, is to just try and gain her trust, so that she'll just go about her business without worrying too much about us. They do have very surprised looks on their faces. Her face is turning to slight disdain, I feel. Wonderful little long eyelashes. They are not there simply for beauty's sake. They're there to protect her eyes from the thorns as she pushes her head deep into some very thorny bushes. That was a magnificent sighting. I think we'll carry on now. And what we're going to do is going to go across to Brent, who is back with Karula, the peaceful one, and I will see you there at some stage today, I hope. We're still exploring our way towards Karula, having a great time as we do it. See you later.
Welcome back, everyone. So guys, apologies for that. There seemed to be a little bit of a lag in the stream, but hopefully our wizards behind the scene have created some magic and fixed that. And for those of you, we are still sitting with Karula, who we haven't seen in an age, so it's really exciting to be with her. And she has got what I look to be a young bushbuck kill in the tree, and she is a very fat, contented kitty. Now, for those of you who might have logged in late, welcome, or if you're new viewers, you're on a live African safari. My name is Brent, and we have found a female leopard who has killed a young bushbuck. And this leopard has been a particular frustration for me over the last couple of days. I found what I thought were her tracks possibly yesterday morning. Yes, yesterday morning. And we followed them for an incredible distance. And she played tricks on me, walked back over me, walked behind me. I'm quite sure I was very close to her on foot a couple of times. And she just slunk into the grass and giggled as I stomped on past. And then yesterday, while I was sitting next to the Nkahuma Pride, I heard an incredible cacophony of alarm calls, impala and kudu and monkeys calling towards the lodge. And I radioed James, he wasn't with the lions. I said, James, go have a look. And he found fresh tracks and everything, followed, and she disappeared and evaded. Then this morning, I must have tracked her for quite a long time. I spent trying to find this leopard on foot, and had tracks going every which direction, had monkey alarm calling, and she just had the better of me. So I said to Jean-Ray this afternoon, as we drove across the Gari dam wall in front of the Djuma camp, I was like, Jean-Ray, I know she's around here, we're going to go have a look. One more time, just one more time. And after we'd had a nice look at some impala, while we were there, we suddenly heard alarm calls of monkey. So we rushed into this area, and we managed to see where the monkeys were in a dead tree, looking towards this area. And I even hesitated to guess that it sounded like almost the same area that the monkeys were alarming in this morning, even though this morning I had tracks going away from here, which now I think she might have moved up towards the Gallagher waterhole for a drink at some point, and those tracks were actually older than I thought they were. And we then rushed back, and I even speculated that hopefully the monkeys are alarming in the same place because the leopard has a kill in the tree. And as we drove up to this big tree, I just spotted her on the branch, and I did a little victory jig in my seat to celebrate finally finding Karula. Hi, Genevieve from New York. Genevieve would like me to try estimate the circumference of the jackalberry for her, and how old do I think it is. Well, if we come out and we'll have I will show you as the sun is about to set just under its boughs. I'm guessing the circumference of that jackalberry is probably 2.5, maybe even up, maybe closer to 3.5, 4 meters around the base at the widest. And a tree this size is probably a couple of 100 years old, at least 200 to 300 years old. And there we go, there's the sun setting, and there's the actual base. Karula is only lying on one of the primary branches, so that is half the size of the actual circumference of the main trunk. Maybe not even half the size, smaller than half the size. And there we go, sun disappearing. will be below the horizon in a few minutes. Hi, Jimlin in Oklahoma. Jimlin would like to know if Karula and Quarantine were to cross paths, would they fight, or would he remember that it's his mother? Oh, I don't think they would fight too aggressively. She might be quite aggressive towards him. Obviously, she wants him to move away now and get his independence. But if he had to come across Karula on a kill like this, he might chase her off and steal it, because that's what male leopards do. Nice to have you on the sunset safari with us this evening, Jimlin. Hi, Tim Painter from Chesfield. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Tim says it looked like Karula was snarling at us when we arrived. Did notice a little bit of movement in her mouth. Tim would also like to know this unusual behavior for her. I think, Tim, I didn't think it was particularly aggressive, snarling or whatnot. I think she might have had a bit of hair, because I think she was feeding just before we arrived, so she might have been trying to get rid of some of that bushbuck fur in her mouth. And also, if she was, it was probably slight annoyance, and I've seen leopards do it before, at being spotted by monkeys and being shouted at constantly, because obviously a leopard would prefer its presence in the area to remain unknown to things like monkeys and nyala and impala. So I don't think it was a particularly unusual behavior, and I don't think it was particularly aggressive either. Hi, Charlie. Charlie's got quite an interesting question for us. Charlie would like to know whether they go into REM sleep like we do, and whether muscle paralysis would cause them to fall out of the tree. Charlie, they don't. So even though they seem to be fast asleep, she is still very much alert and will be listening. Obviously with leopards, because they have the ability to sleep in trees, they are sometimes a little bit more lax with their observation than other animals that are terrestrially based, but most definitely still very, very alert. And there we go, you just saw her left ear move. She's still listening to the different sounds around her. So that, as far as I know, they do not go into that REM sleep. It would be quite detrimental out here, because you never know when something might catch you unawares, like another leopard. So guys, we're going to cross across to Commander Bond while this cat continues to sleep. Don't worry, we won't move. What I'm hoping is she might come down the tree as it gets a bit cooler and possibly head off for a drink But in the meantime, we'll cross across to James, and we'll be back.
We've driven quite a way to get here, mainly because we're still waiting to go and perhaps visit Karula a bit later, but also because Gracie was very concerned. Gracie's an 8-year-old patient at the Ohio Children's Hospital, and she's very concerned about my friend Bob, who's the hippo bull you can see just behind us there. And Gracie, as you can see, his little girlfriend is still here. Well, we're hoping she's a girlfriend. She might not be. It might be another young bull, but looks like a young cow. So they're still happily together. And the sun has just gone down over the horizon. I believe that you lost us, I'm afraid, or not lost us, but there was quite a lot of sort of delay, and we're sorry about that. Eugene and Alex, who remarkably lives in Moscow, have fixed the problem, and you're back with us sort of in real time. And I believe there were some questions that you had about the giraffes. So while we look at this magnificent sun, I'll try and answer them for you. So a question from Happy Cub and Leslie. Very nice question. Are giraffes solitary? Happy Cub and Leslie. Happy Cub, that's a fascinating name. I'd love to know where you got it from. They are not solitary by nature. So the cows will often live in groups, and the groups are not necessarily very sort of strong arrangements. They're sort of loose social bonds, and that they'll stay often in visual contact where they can see each other over the tops of the trees, but they're not sort of firm herds like, say, elephants, where closely related cows will stay together in a very close-knit group. So they aren't really like that. So I'm not sure why that cow was alone. There may have been one or two others in and around the place. I think they also stay in quite strong olfactory contact. So they've got a very distinct smell, and I think they use that to contact each other and stay with each other. Kevin, a very interesting question. You say that we often talk about animal intelligence, but that we possibly aren't as forthcoming on the intelligence of giraffes. Kevin, I'm not really sure exactly how intelligent giraffes are. You know, it very much depends on what your definition of intelligence is. I don't think a giraffe are ever likely to manage to achieve the things that Alex does with sending our signal over around the world. You know, they're unlikely to design satellites anytime soon, but they're able to communicate on levels that we don't understand. So one of the things that we think giraffe can do is communicate infrasonically, a bit like elephants can. So that, I suppose that would be a form of intelligence. So if you don't know what infrasound means, that means at a frequency too low for us to hear. So that's some kind of giraffe intelligence. But otherwise, I'm not sure. I don't think that they're renowned for particularly learning prowess. But all of these animals, you know, they can all learn bits and pieces about where they are and where the water holes are and where the good trees are and that sort of thing. So probably not a lot of research done on giraffe intelligence, Kevin. But thanks very much. It's a good question. So, and lovely little question from Joseph in grade 3 at the Crawford Plains School in I think it's in Edmonton in Canada. It's lovely to have you chaps with us again. Joseph, very nice question. You want to know, why do giraffes have long necks? Well, Joseph, why do you think giraffes have long necks? It's the most obvious answer you can think of. They've got long necks so that they can reach to the top of the trees and find all the good stuff to eat. Without those long necks, they wouldn't be able to do that. Now remember, Joseph, they have the longest necks of any other animal in the world, and so they are able to reach much higher up than any other animal in the world. So they can eat things that kudu and elephants and what else? Nyala and bushbuck and all of those animals who eat around the sort of lower strata. They can eat up, way up high, where no one else can eat. So Joseph, that's why they have long necks. And then Leslie, very nice question from you about an injury. You said that giraffe looked like she was injured on the side of her head, on her neck. That is a very common parasite, skin parasite that giraffes get, and a very nice way to age them. It's not something that's particularly detrimental to them, so I'd say she's a middle-aged female. And you want to know if they fight. She wouldn't have got that from fighting, but the cows don't tend to fight. The bulls do fight quite ferociously. They swing their necks against each other and they make these incredible slapping sounds and bend around, and it's amazing to see it. But they don't sort of I don't think they get, they don't, their horns aren't sharp, so they don't sort of puncture the skin. I'm sure they create a horrendous sense of neck spasm and concussion the next day, but they don't seem to create any kind of obvious external injuries. Ellen, you are a brand new viewer. Welcome to it. Thank you for your question and thank you for spending some time watching us. We're extremely happy to have you along. Please tell all your friends, everybody you know, possibly your shopkeeper, even the local homeless people around where you live. Tell them to watch us and show everybody. We love to have you along, and we want to try and build a huge audience of international viewers who can travel to Africa on a daily basis without paying a cent. What a bonus that would be. Ellen, you want to know how old that giraffe was. Ellen, I'm going to guess. I don't know exactly. Giraffe probably lived to about 25 years in the wild. She looked pretty adult but not too old. I'm going to go between 18 and 20 years. I think, Ellen, that would be my best guess, I'm afraid. And then another question about whether giraffe go off to when they give birth. Do they go off and give birth alone, or do they hang around? Do they hang around with the herd? Normally they do go off to give birth on their own. So that's from Brenda in Virginia. They go off, and not so much go off, but they'll find some thick bush and give birth, and then the rest of the herd will drift off quietly. And the cow will then, the foal will stand almost immediately, probably in about, I think it's about 10 minutes the foal will stand. Obviously extremely vulnerable when they're born. And the interesting thing about giraffe birth is that she gives birth standing up. Now that height, I mean, her back end there is about 1.8 meters, so about 6'2", I think, maybe 6 foot. Above the earth, and so she drops that baby 6 feet down onto the ground, and it weighs as much as an elephant baby when it's born, so about 100 kilograms, and that fall ruptures the umbilical cord, and without that the umbilical cord wouldn't break, and because the baby weighs so much, it's extremely precocial, so it stands very quickly and is up and about looking very quickly. Very nice question, thank you for that. Right, I think we're probably going to make our way out of here slowly. Right, so we have we have a lovely request from someone in Johannesburg called Gabby. In fact, a few people have said this apparently. Gabby, you and your mother have said, basically I've extolled the young children to have a dust bath because that's what the birds were doing at the giraffe sighting, and you've said that you'll do it if you see me do it. Well, Gabby, I think that's a little unfair, but because you come from my hometown, I'm going to acquiesce to your request, and I'm going to have a dust bath in front of the vehicle. Brian at this stage doesn't know what he's about to witness. I suspect he's quite amused, and Tara has probably got her hand over her mouth in the final control. But Gabby, this is for you, and if I get into trouble, Gabby, it's your fault. Here I go. So you've got to find a good piece of dust, Gabby. You don't want any buffalo dung on it. Right? And what you want to do is lie on your back and shake around. Then you want to lie on your front and do the same thing. Get all your limbs dirty. Wash your face. Wash your hair. I'm hoping you've got more hair than I do, Gabby. Put your hat back on and hope that you haven't made too much of a fool of yourself for anybody to ever watch you again. Right, on we go. I'm going to put my jersey on. It's a little cold. Thank you for that, Gabby. Now you go outside, get into your mother's flower bed and have a dust bath. It's one of the rare pleasures of the world, I tell you, to be able to lie in the sand. And one of my favorite things to do is to do it at the beach. When everybody else is trying to keep the sand off themselves. So that I can hear Tara. Catherine in Texas, you think that the buffalo thorn is quite similar to a tree that you've got. I suspect it is. I'm just staring off at one now. I think it's probably biologically quite different, but it might look the same. It has a very small fruit. You say the one you're talking about, the tree you're talking about, has got quite a large fruit on it, a large seed pod. But the ziziphus is a very small, sort of coffee bean sized fruit, and you can actually make coffee from it. But I don't see any here. It's really the wrong time of year, Catherine. I'll try, as we're driving, if I spot one. Sometimes there's an old dry one lying on the, sort of hanging in the tree. Right, on we go. So the sun has set. You can see Bob and his bow. I suppose we better give her a name. So I think maybe we could. She's been here long enough for you lot to give her a name. So the Twitterverse could come up with something beginning with a B. That is both modern and will fit with the Bob's Exalted Extent. The last Franklin's calling off to the left. probably just about to climb up into the trees where they'll sleep. We're going to pop across to Brent now, who's still with Karula, and we'll see you a little bit later. I'm going to make my way there. I may or may not see you there, but you will definitely be there with Brent. See you now.
Welcome back, folks. We've managed to climb and you can see there's a base pad, and then just above it you can see there's another pad, and that's where the dew claw is. There it's even more visible, so you see that sort of black pad above, almost on the ankle, and that's where her dew claw is. And her paws look a bit messy and wet and whatnot, but that's from holding down on that and hold the carcass in place while she feeds. And you got a little twitch of the foot there. You can see those long whiskers on her face. So I've got a quiz for you guys. Who out there can tell me what is the proper scientific name for whiskers on a that even with that damaged ankle, she survived, and we saw her for quite a few years after that. We used to call her Hopalong, and she changed her diet from catching big animals like impala and bushbuck to catching little things like scrub hares and spring hares. So it is possible for a leopard to fall out of a tree. It just doesn't happen very often. Thanks very much for your question, Lily. Hi, Raisa would like to know exactly where the sighting is, given since we haven't seen her very recently. I'm going to get Chandra to pan out Raisa quickly and just show you what is beyond this tree, and that will tell you exactly where she is. We are basically on the boundary of Vuyatela camp, and we are sitting in front of room 3 or 4. So directly in front of room 3 or 4 at Vuyatela camp. lucky guests are staying in there tonight. Here we go. That is the balcony of room 3 or 4 at Vuyatela Camp at Djuma Private Game Reserve. Who knows, those guests have been in there all day and didn't even know there was a leopard sleeping in the tree opposite them. It's definitely getting quite chilly now. Temperature's dropping quite rapidly. I'm just going to pop my jersey on quickly. There you go, she's moved slightly so we can see a bit more of her now. Well done to Cheetah, Angela and Tim Painter, who got the whisker question right. They're called vibrise or vibrise, depending on your pronunciation. And basically it's from the Latin and it's to do with senses and picking up vibrations. Leopards do use theirs, not as heavily as some other animals, but you can see they are elongated. And they are definitely used specifically when hunting and stalking through the bush. They will use those whiskers to feel different branches and grass and stuff that might make a noise. Hi, Ellen from the UK, who's a new viewer. Very welcome to Safari Live, Ellen. And Ellen says she's got her family hooked today. Well, welcome, and I'm sure all the old and regular viewers will also send you a warm welcome. Always nice to have another member joining our community here. And Ellen would like to know, what other animals do we see regularly on these live safaris? Well, Ellen, obviously, of course, the majority of what we see is your more general game, things like impala and wildebeest and bushbuck and nyala, buffalo. But we're very fortunate in the area we operate. There's a high percentage of big cats, so we do see quite a lot of lion and leopard, and as well as things like wild dogs and hyenas, elephants, and we're very, very lucky to operate in an area where we do have such diverse animals and such great predator sightings. The Sabi Sands Game Reserve probably has the most habituated leopards anywhere in Africa. So there's very few places you can sit and spend time with an animal like Karula, who's sitting above us at the moment, like we are today. Hi, Pam from Colorado, who is a huge Karula fan. Pam's just saying, We often used to see Karula around the lodge, especially when she had her cubs. That is true. I've seen Karula around here a few times, and historically when she has had cubs, she has utilized this very drainage line as a den site for those cubs. So it is nice to have her back. Hi Len, who's in grade 3 at Crawford Plains School in Canada. Welcome on this sunset safari, Len. Len would like to know, do leopards hunt at night, and how long do they sleep for? Well Len, they do, but they do mostly do their hunting at night, or from this time of the day, that sort of late evening or early evening, through for the first couple of hours, and then through again just before dawn in the morning is another favorite time. But like all predators, they will hunt throughout the night if given opportunity. They are opportunists, so if they come across the chance to make a kill, they will. And leopards, like most of our cat species, and specifically the big cat species, sleep quite a lot. A little bit less than a lion, but a leopard can probably easily do 16 to 17 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. Thanks very much for your question, Len, and great to have you on the safari with us. So as the sun sets, there's the sort of evening cacophony of birds that are calling, and one of the most noisy ones we're hearing are the crested francolins and fork-tailed drongos. And in the distance we get hearing some arrow-marked babblers. You can also hear a tawny-flanked prinia. Oh, that's about the most movement we've seen for a while. Oh, itchy head. So she's just using the tree to scratch her head. Just rubbing it against the coarse bark. So quite often you'll find leopards with full bellies that have been eating quite a bit need to move around, and that's to try and move that weight of the belly. It can prove quite uncomfortable for them. So we've got a little surprise in store. So we're going to not tell you what's about to happen for the next little bit of the sunset safari, but I'm going to hand you back to Commander Bond, and we will be back with you a little later. We'll be standing by here with Karula, and if she moves a muscle, we'll be back. Have fun with James.
Hello everybody. We are just having a stopped here on the top of a ridge looking due west over what used to be called Gazankulu, which is a rather beautiful name. And there you can see in the distance, you can't see the mountains, and that's because of the smoke from the fires that I told you about, and also the smoke from the villages. I think we're looking directly onto a village called Dixie there. which is a little village of about probably 1,000 people in their little homes, and they're all now cooking the evening meal. Kiddies doing their homework by the light of candles and paraffin lamps, and if they're lucky, a bit of electricity. And it's just a lovely way to end a day, to sit here and contemplate the fates of all of us, I guess, but especially those who are possibly a little bit less fortunate. So I'm going to try and remember all of these, but I've become so amused. A couple of answers to the names for for Bob's bow. We've got Sandy, who says Bob and Babe. We've got Barbara, who says Bob and Bella. And then we had somebody else who said Bob. Debbie, who said Bob and Weave. Debbie, you get the prize for the most amusing answer. I'm afraid I'm going to reject the name outright, though. I think Weave is an unattractive name for a female hippo. And
Spotlight. No, it looks younger. Welcome back, guys. Another leopard just arrived here and just stole the kill. I didn't get it. I suddenly saw a leopard right next to me, and Karula has just been chased from the kill. And there we go. The monkeys have seen. Jean-Andre, can you see where Karula went?
She's run off behind us.
She's ran off behind us. I didn't see what leopard this was, and I still can't see from where I am. I'm going to have to move the vehicle here quickly, so just hold on, guys. I just suddenly heard the grass rustle next to me, and I noticed this male leopard literally a meter from my legs. I'm just going to move back to see. Watch out for the branches there, Jean-Andre. We're on quite a precarious little piece of ground here, so it could take some maneuvering. Are we behind us? Yeah. Any sign of Karula? Looks like she's disappeared. So there we go, perfect example of what I was saying. A male leopard would steal a female's kill at any chance and show a bit of aggression. But you saw how incredible Karula's agility was there. She jumped around the side of him and went straight down the tree. So I'm not sure which leopard this is. We'll have a look now. It didn't look like Mvula to me. It didn't look big enough. Oh, sorry, there's a leaf in your way there. Then we might get a better view from further forward. There's just too much shadow there. So if you guys, whoops, there's a rather large log. Answers to questions at WildEarthTV, or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. I think I know who it is. Let's see who can recognize him. James Cohen. James, you copy? So let's see. James, this has become two separate sightings. Wanuna Ingwe has chased the female off the tree. She's made her way towards Mvubu, so if you're in the area, try follow up on Mvubu. I think she'll come up on the road.
I did call Lee also.
Okay, cool. I just asking James to check for Karula if she runs off to the road there.
Definitely. Did you guys hear that? The monkeys immediately when it lies.
So isn't that amazing, guys? Quite nice when what you've been talking about comes and displays itself in front of you. And that was an amazing, amazing little bit of sighting. Now, who is this boy? Just going to try to see if I can get a shot on his spot pattern. Oh, I need to change my settings quite drastically if we want to see his spot pattern. Okay.
James is also going to put into the area to relocate the fuzzy.
Alright, must I stand by or can I come to the mouth?
This one up.
Okay.
Is it okay for me to come in there?
So, I think we should, we're just going to see what this is and try figure out. Sorry, the game drive radio is going a bit crazy at the second. James, it's directly in front of room 4 of Vuyatela. So after you go through that little dip on the drainage line, if you're heading north on Mvubu Road, she should be somewhere around there or close to the junction with a shortcut to Galagomati. So guys, while we stick with this male leopard, some of the new technology we've been able to get is if anyone was having a cup of coffee or went to the loo, we've got the opportunity to be able to show you what happened a couple of minutes ago. So here we go. We're going to show you a quick clip of what happened a couple of seconds ago. No, it looks younger. Welcome back, guys. Another leopard just arrived here. And just stole the kill. And down the tree and gone. And this all happened literally within a meter of our vehicle. See, he's smelling Karula's scent there and actually showing the Fleming reaction, and he's taking that scent over the Jacobson's organ. So it seems like there's quite a lot of debate about which male leopard this is. Definitely not Quarantine or Kunuma from you guys. You guys seem to think it's either Mvula or Tingana. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I'm going to let you guys figure it out for a little bit longer. And we've had a nice longer visual of him now. So let's see who can figure out which leopard this is. Remember to send your answers to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Great. camera work, Chandra. So what an exciting little late afternoon interlude to what has been quite a static sighting for most of the afternoon. So I'm just going to double check which leopard I think this is, having a look at his spot pattern. So for those of you not sure what a spot pattern is, it's the last line of spots above the whiskers, and that differs in all leopards. So it is one of the ways we use to identify them. I just want to get another shot to make sure I get both sides. But he's not moving into the most and the best photo position. So apparently everyone's still in hot debate, sitting on the fence at the moment, 50-50 whether it's Mvula or Tingana. And I'm pretty sure I've worked out who he is by now. Obviously I'm in a slightly better position sitting here, and with my big lens, but let me just double check. So give me a second, I'm just going to have a quick look at the picture. So Raisa M. So unfortunately I can't see the other spot pattern in any of those photographs, but I will put my guesses in with the rest very shortly. Obviously if I get it wrong, it's a little bit more embarrassing than if you guys get it wrong. Desperately trying to find a left-hand shot. I seem to only have right-hand shots of both Mvula and Tingana. Hi, Dennis from Massachusetts. Dennis would like to know how long I think the male was in the area before he pounced. Dennis, I think he probably heard those monkeys' alarm calling quite far away, and he might have come to investigate. I think he arrived in the area, and as he arrived in the area, he might have picked up the smell of the carcass and made his way here. Quite interesting, from the direction he came from, it'd be very interesting to know if any of you guys caught him on the Djuma cam, because he came straight from that side of the world. Or maybe we get a shot of that spot pattern now. So I can't see his right eye. Obviously we're on the left. We know Mvula was carrying an injury in his right eye, but just looking at the ear tatters on that left ear and on the right ear, I'm gonna have to go with Mvula. So I might be wrong. I haven't been able to have a good proper look at the spot patterns yet, but I think it's probably Mvula. There we go, he's sitting up. So I'm just, and I haven't had a proper look at the spot pattern or the right eye. I'm just going on what I can see of how tattered his ears are. Tingana's ears are in much better condition. It doesn't have those big holes in the ears. So I'm going to try and move again a second, because he's moved that carcass a little bit, and see where we can, if we can get a proper look and see if we can see his right eye. Okay. Mvula. Yeah. Here we go. Confirmation. We're all in agreement now that it looks like it is definitely Mvula. I'm just going to try and get around so you guys can see his face a bit better. Let me see if I can get in there. Okay. Just give me a second. Oh, 1 second. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get the spotlight in a good spot. There we go. Yeah, Craig. So updates here. Mvula has chased that Mafazi. Don't have visual of Mafazi. We have Mvula in the slash line now. Is joined with the Bamba, and there are 3 stations here. Sorry guys, 3 stations here. You'll be first standby. Look at that. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to man the radio. Whoa, where'd he go? Popped his head into that shadow. And obviously that is, there we go. Here he comes back. Hi, Angela from Boston in Massachusetts. Welcome on this incredibly exciting sunset safari filled with leopards so far. Angela would like to know if other lodges and camps call leopards by different names. So, for example, would another lodge call Karula something different? Generally not. We try to standardize the names of those animals when they move through. So generally Karula will be called Karula by all the lodges that see her. And even if she did happen to move out of territory, there's a group who'd send in the pictures and people would try to figure out who she is and help people who are not used to seeing her, and would try to figure out, and then she would still be known as Karula. Go ahead, Tux.
Once again, one of those situations where there's branches everywhere. And you see this animal looking straight through it, I'm afraid. Sorry about the tree branch, guys.
Alright guys, we're just going to try move the spotlight to fight that shadow. Sorry guys, I'll be back with you in a second. There's just quite a lot of traffic on the Game Drive radio.
Yes, he's certainly making sure. Oh, he's plucking the fur out. Look at that.
So there, we saw Karula doing that a bit earlier, and now we got to see him doing the same thing.
Oh, what's that? Sorry.
Yeah, me too.
Give up.
So pretty sure it's some Mvula now that I can see. So, sorry guys, lots of questions coming in. Obviously, quite an exciting sighting, a lot of people trying to get in here. I'm just going to turn my radio down for a second, so you have my undivided attention.
They're opportunistic.
So, how amazing has this sunset safari been so far? Been following these female leopard tracks for nearly 2 days now, and I just had that suspicion that it was Karula. Just the size of the track. They started off around Buffelshoek Dam, came from the north, so it was absolutely, just had that sort of gut was telling me that it was Karula, and I haven't seen her in such a long time, and that's why I've tracked so doggedly over the last couple of drives, and she just evaded me, and then when we heard those monkeys alarm calling today in the same place as they were alarm calling this morning, I just had that sort of hunch, and I even said, I hope that second big jackalberries, it's going to be a female leopard with a kill. And believe it or not, as we drove in, there she was, and it was Karula. And I know how excited all you guys are to see Karula. The last time we had a sighting of Karula was probably over a month ago, that I can remember. And then while we've been sitting here waiting to see her, we had actually called James so he could come meet her, and I just heard this little rustle in the grass, and literally a meter from my leg there was a big male leopard, and the female in the tree, Karula, had no idea he was there, and he shot straight up that branch, up that trunk. She suddenly jumped up, turned around, they growled and hissed at each other, and she leapt behind him with an amazing agility and went straight down the tree and disappeared. And he, obviously being a male leopard and a glutton, climbed up and just basically, as soon as the female was gone, started getting stuck into what was left of that bushbuck kill.
That carnassial shear is basically the little ridges on the front of the premolar. They slice against each other like a pair of scissors. And they often turn the cheek. You see that? See how he turns his head sideways?
So they're fine with the other.
Oh yeah, listen to that. Whenever bones are small enough to fit into his mouth, if you can pulverize them, he gets the benefit of the marrow and things like calcium. Yeah.
Close up, he's basically.
So guys, it has been an absolutely fantastic sunset safari. We couldn't have asked for one much better than this. It's been wonderful having you all on the back of the vehicle with me, and we really do appreciate your questions. So please keep sending them in, and to the new viewers, welcome, and to our regular viewers, always great to have you on the back of the vehicle with us. It really is a privilege and a pleasure being able to take you on an African safari and share our passion for African wildlife with all of you. And unfortunately, James is still out there searching for Karula, trying to get his first glimpse. So hopefully he gets that before it gets too late tonight. And we've got a special treat for the last couple of seconds of drive tonight. We're actually going to play you a slow motion replay of Mvula coming up the tree and chasing Karula out. So that will be a little bit later. From Jean-Dre and myself, have a fantastic day or evening wherever you are in the rest of the world. And from James and Brian, and from Andrew and Tara and Final Control and all the rest of our staff who help control the gremlins, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will hopefully see you bright and early on the Sunrise Safari tomorrow. Good night, everyone.